Ladies and gentlemen, from the blazing tropics of the Caribbean to the corridors of Australian cricketing history, a new chapter is being etched, one of evolution, opportunity, and the quiet resolve of a player whose moment has come. Josh Inglis, a name that has hovered around the Australian cricket setup for years, now finds himself at a pivotal junction. Not with loud declarations or headline-grabbing soundbites, but with the calm conviction of a cricketer who has waited, learned, and endured. As the vanquished Test champions of the world return to the West Indies for the first time in a decade, it is not the old guard leading the narrative, but the emerging heartbeat of a reformed and reinvigorated squad. Inglis, who turned heads with a century on debut in the spinning cauldrons of Sri Lanka, was forced to make way for bigger names in the World Test Championship final at Lord's. But those bigger names, Marnus Labuschagne battling technical ghosts and Steve Smith laid low by a dislocated finger, have now left a void. And into that void steps Inglis. Not with arrogance, but readiness. He may not yet know exactly where he will bat. But does it matter to him? No, because this is a player forged in the unpredictable flow of Australian domestic cricket, one who has floated across batting orders like a seasoned navigator steering through unfamiliar tides. At number 5 in Galle, Inglis stood tall. Now, with young Sam Konstas locked in to open alongside the ageless Usman Khawaja, Inglis may be thrust into the number 3 position, a crucible traditionally reserved for the most technically sound and temperamentally balanced of players. He doesn't flinch at the prospect. With Steve Smith absent, a vacuum opens at the top of the order, and Cameron Green, himself returning from a frustrating stint at number 3, may now drop to number 4. Green's comeback at Lord's was forgettable, scores of 4 and 0. But as the sands shift and the board resets, new roles await. For Inglis, a challenge becomes a canvas. Standing at Bridgetown's Kensington Oval, Inglis reflected not just on form or tactics, but on character. "I've batted at the top in white ball cricket and in the middle, so I've become accustomed to moving around a fair bit," he said. There's a quiet pride in his voice. A humility, too. Not many are versatile enough to serve where they're needed, but Inglis is one of those few. With Alex Carey still holding the gloves, Inglis won't be behind the stumps. But he'll be in the thick of the action, slotted in the slip cordon, flanked by the towering Cameron Green and Bo Webster. "It's probably like a bale in between two stumps," he joked, ever self-deprecating, ever grounded. But don't let that humility fool you. Inglis is serious about his fielding. Before wicketkeeping took over at age 14, he was a keen outfielder. That grounding shows sharp reflexes, clean hands, and a hunger to contribute regardless of spotlight. Now, under the watchful eyes of coach Andrew McDonald and captain Pat Cummins, this new-look Australian side marches into the unknown. They no longer wear the badge of World Test champions. That title slipped away. But in its place comes purpose, a stated reset, for a team that must now redefine itself not through the familiar but through the brave. The first test in Barbados isn't just the start of a new series, it's the first domino in the new World Test Championship cycle. It's also the final proving ground before the Ashes returns to Australian soil this summer. And while 2015's Caribbean memories featured dominant wins, this tour arrives with uncertainty, new names, and questions yet unanswered. Only 3 from the 2015 team, Stark, Hazelwood, and Leon, remain. The rest, fresh faces with fresh fears and ambitions. Konstas and Inglis have only 2 tests each. Webster, preparing for his 5th. The resume is not intimidating, but the potential is. And on the other side of the pitch, the Windies lurk. Their cricket has been revitalised by the raw brilliance of Shamar Joseph, the pace spearhead who turned Gabba dreams into nightmares earlier this year. In just his 2nd test, Joseph bowled with fire, fury, and finesse, delivering the West Indies an unforgettable win in Australia. Now, he returns on home soil, hungry to do it again. That's the battleground Josh Inglis walks into. A changed Australia, a changing world order, and a golden chance. But he doesn't walk in burdened. He walks in emboldened, with the knowledge that he's already done the hardest part, proving he belongs. What remains now is to anchor a team, to steady a batting order missing its legends, and to be that glue between experience and hope. Whether at number 3, 5, or 7, Inglis represents something more than a name on the sheet. He represents adaptability. He represents resilience. He represents the next wave of Australian Test cricket. And as the sun rises over Barbados and the floodlights hum to life, don't be surprised if the quiet man becomes the defining voice. Because in the game of cricket, opportunities don't shout. They whisper. And Josh Inglis has always been the kind to